Okay, we have Alabama head coach Nate Oates, and we have players. Once again, we'll start with an opening statement from Coach, then we'll go to questions for the student athletes. We will dismiss them after we've had a few of those, and then we'll come back to Coach for his Q&A. But, Coach, if you want to start with an opening statement.
Yeah, obviously a tough night for us. Duke obviously had a big part to do with that. They're a great team. They've got great players. Coaching staff did a good job getting them ready. Only one team's going to end up cutting the nets down in San Antonio. Won't be us this year. I told our guys we've raised this program to a level where the standard's really high. 99% of college basketball players would trade places with these guys with the year we had, but we're disappointed. We had bigger goals, and it's disappointing to go out like we went out. But I thought our guys stayed together. They kept playing hard. Just Duke was good. We didn't do a great job attacking. They're switching on defense. We shot 34%. We shot 35. They shot 54. I mean, it's hard to overcome that. And you get out rebounded by 11 too. So, we'd said kind of coming in the off season that, if we have a tough shooting night, 2 years ago when we were the number 1 overall seed, I think we shot 3 of 27 from 3 and lost. But we had gotten 20 boards. We got to figure out ways to be able to win when we don't shoot it well. The offensive rebounding was a big one. We kind of said we need to, be elite at, get to the free throw line. We didn't do any well. I didn't think, we got to the free throw line a fair amount, but it was not enough. I mean, the old boards, they made more free throws than we shot, so we didn't get the free throw line enough. And the old boards, we had 10, but they outscored us in second chance points, so we didn't really score off the old boards. Grant was the only guy on a team with more than one old board, so we've got to get better. We obviously played really well 2 nights ago, and it's tough, within 48 hours from playing as well as we did to playing as poorly as we did. That's how the NCAA tournament works in a one-game elimination tournament. So you play poorly and you get sent home, and that's what happened. And Duke's as good a team as we've seen all year. We've got some really good teams in the SEC, and they're at that level, and it wasn't meant to be for us tonight.
Take questions for the student athletes. We're going to start down here in row 1.
Brett Friedlander, Saturday Down South. Mark, what did they do to you specifically and to the team defensively to make you work so hard to get good looks?
They did a good job of taking away our through ball, and that's something that we do really well at a high level. And, they just did a great job of taking away our through ball.
We'll stay in the front row right here in the middle, and then we'll come to the end.
Nick Kelly, AL.com. Mark, with this being the end of your time with Alabama, what kind of legacy do you think you left over the past few years?
I'm just, I'm just blessed to be able to play for the University of Alabama, especially being from the state of Alabama. Even though this season didn't go the way we wanted it to, I'm just very thankful that I got the chance to play for Coach Oates and the University of Alabama.
We're going to stay in row 1 at the other end here, right at the end of the row.
Mike Rodeco, 247, LeBaron. Just how would you assess the season that you had, and what are the next steps for you in terms of deciding what your future will be?
It was a great season for me, a lot of ups and downs, but, I just try to keep my head up, and, I haven't thought about anything. I just, Coach did a great job of having me laser focused the whole year and just not think about the outside noise. So, I'm pretty sure we'll just get to that later on.
Do we have any more questions for the student athletes? Okay, yep, in the back, Dan.
Dan Gilson, Associated Press. Like you said, they took away the 3-ball. What were they able to do that made them so effective in being able to take that shot away from you guys?
They were just building out. When we would drive, they would build out, and then they had a great rim protector at the rim, making it hard on us, and they just did a really good job of doing that.
Okay, if we have no more questions for the student athletes, we'll dismiss them. Congratulations on a great season, fellas. Alabama locker room is open at this time, just a reminder. All right, we'll take questions for Coach. Well start down here in row 1.
Nate Hey, Ralph Russo from the, excuse me, from The Athletic. Same question, similar to what we gave your players. Can you give us a little assessment of how they were so good defensively?
Yeah, I mean, one is they've got length all over the place. You look at their starting lineup, they've got Common Malawak that's got a 9'8" staying reach. He protects the rim at a high level, so the way we want to play, it's been top 5 offense in the country. We've led the country in scoring the last 2 years. It's a good way to play, but when they've got a rim protector, it's hard to get rim shots. So I'm looking, at the rim, we shot 48%. We only made 12 shots at the rim tonight. We were 12 of 25. So, he made that tough. We made the point to our guys, we're not going to go in and score on them. And we had a few guys still try to challenge him for, it's kind of a habit. You can tell him going in, and then, he ended up having 2 blocks. We ended up having more blocks than them, but the way he challenges, it's a problem. So, he challenges at the rim. Then they've got Cooper at whatever he is, 6'9". Then everybody else is 6'6" or taller, so they've got length. So, we tried to match Aiden Sherrell's minutes with Malawak to just stretch it. Aiden came out, did what he was supposed to, did what I thought he would do, made 2 threes. They kind of adjusted, went smaller with him. Then we tried to kind of match Cliff when they had their smaller 5s in, so we could kind of get our roller behind. But then they just went to switching. Cliff hurt his knee a little bit there, and I thought once they went to switching the ball screens, we weren't very good. They switched, and we kind of went to iso ball. That's not how we play. We didn't get them. We didn't get their 5 in the action enough. It's hard. You got the 1-day prep. I thought we did a good job as a coaching staff of getting our guys ready for all different coverages, but you kind of do that all summer and fall, and then as you go into a game, you target how they're going to guard you, and then you prep for the 2 or 3 days going in. Well, you don't have 2 or 3 days going in. You got a walkthrough that you don't go live yesterday, so it's hard to prep for them. We still got some decent looks from 3, and we just didn't hit them. They shot 6 of 13. We shot 8 of 32. So we shot 25% from 3. Is that good enough to beat Duke? Yeah, if you do everything else at an elite level, and we didn't do everything else at an elite level. We didn't finish at the paint. We didn't get to the old boards well enough. We had too many turnovers. We had 3 turnovers before the first media timeout, which dug us a huge hole right out of the gate. Our defense wasn't where it needed to be in the first 4 minutes, and we turned the ball over 3 times. So, we dug ourselves a hole early, gave ourselves some adversity we had to face. I thought we did a decent job fighting back, but they're too good a team to dig yourselves a big hole. And I think the closest we ever got it from that was 6. And then they went on a big run there in the last kind of that under 8 media. We had a shot there. I think it was a 9-point game with the under 8 media, and then they kind of came out and went on a 13-0 run, and the game was over then.
We'll stay at this end of the row 1.
You obviously had high expectations for this team coming into the year. Just what do you think held back this team from reaching some of the goals, whether it was in the SEC or making a Final Four? I think you said you're disappointed if this team didn't make one.
I'm disappointed. I mean, we were supposed to be one of the better shooting teams in the country. If we'd had Reitzel and Mallet, maybe that changes things obviously a little bit, but injuries happen. Everybody across the country has some injuries. So we adapted, became better on the old boards, got to the free throw line better. Tonight we didn't get to the free throw line. We're 11 of 14. They made 19. We only shot 14. So, one of our ways to adapt to not having, we still were able to make shots. Obviously, 2 nights ago we broke the NCAA record, but it wasn't consistent enough making threes at a high level, for everybody. And you kind of look at the guys that made the bulk of the threes 2 nights ago, and Sears, Youngblood, and Holloway only made 1 each. So, it's, what were they, 3 for 16, as opposed to all the ones they made 2 nights ago. So, when those guys aren't making them, who else do you have that can knock them down? And I thought LeBaron and Aiden Sherrell did a good job, with 5 between the 2 of them, but we didn't get much help. And, through the course of the year, we lost some tough ones. I didn't do a good job with our end-of-game situation at Tennessee. We win that. Maybe things are different. You know, we lost the 2 to Florida. If you're a 1 seed instead of a 2 seed, you don't play Duke. Duke's going to be a 1 seed. You got somebody else in the Elite Eight. So you kind of look to some stuff. Could you have done things better? We lost a home game to Ole Miss. They're a good team, but we should have never lost a home game to Ole Miss. So, you know, even if you win the home game against Ole Miss, I don't mess up the end of the game against Tennessee. Maybe you're still a 1 seed even with those 2 losses to Florida, and you're playing somebody else in the Elite Eight. So there's a lot of things you can look to that I got to do a better job as a head coach, and I will do a better job moving forward, that we got to, you know, continue to recruit guys that fit our system and adapt when things happen, and do better in the regular season to give yourself a better chance with a better seed. You know, now we went to a Final Four as a 4 seed last year. We had a chance as a 2, but it's certainly a lot better. I think Florida is in, they're a 1 seed. Duke's in, they're a 1 seed. So far there's 2 teams in the Final Four, they're both 1 seeds. We got to do a better job during the regular season, try to make sure we get that 1 seed. It's a little easier to make it as that 1 seed. But, you know, there's also, I don't know if there's been a better 3-year run in Alabama history. You know, we number 1 overall seed, make a Final Four, then make back-to-back Elite Eights. So while it was disappointing for the standards we set, most teams in the country didn't set the standards as high as we set them. So, and like I said, I mean, there was 4 teams go to the Final Four last year. You know, we were the only one that was in the Elite Eight. The other 3 either didn't make the tournament, were bounced before the Sweet 16, or Purdue lost in the Sweet 16. So, you know, with the standard of excellence we've set across all of college basketball, we've established ourselves as one of the best programs in the country. Are we disappointed tonight? For sure we are, but we've put ourselves up there with everybody else, and we're going to continue to do that year in and year out, and keep knocking on the door, keep pounding the stone, if you will, and, you know, be one of the teams competing for Final Four and a national championship and conference championships in the best conference in college basketball every year, and we'll get back to Final Four and win one here soon.
Go to the other side, end of row 1, and then we'll come to the middle.
Chase Goodred with the Tuscaloosa News. You were just talking about the consistency and the expectation to play this deep into March year after year. Can you speak to how difficult that is from a roster building standpoint in the modern era where the portal is going to make you rebuild a roster pretty much from top to bottom every year?
Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's a free agent every year, so you've got to do a really good job getting guys in that are going to be loyal, that fit your system, that you can build, because we play a lot different than almost everybody else in college basketball. So some guys take a little bit to adjust. You know, we play a lot faster than they're used to. That we play a lot more open. There's a lot more freedom. So, you know, we want to get, you know, as many of the guys back that fit how we want to play in our current roster. I think we're in a good spot with that. But, yeah, I mean, you see multiple high-major programs across the country getting an entirely new roster every year. That's not how we want to do it. We'd like to get guys that are good, loyal, fit the program, build them up, and then add in some freshmen. We signed 3 freshmen that we think are going to be great in our system. You know, big guards that can shoot it, make plays. Going to add in some portal guys. Obviously, the portal's been open for a week. We got to get on it. We're a week behind a little bit. Preston's been doing a great job during this week while we're prepping for these games. Obviously, playing this deep helps with the guys that value winning and value NBA preparation. I think we've got a big head start on guys that want to play in the NBA and want to win. So we'll get guys in the portal coming in this week. I'm sure it'll be a busy week for me. And trying to retain the guys we want back. And I think a lot of those guys understand that they're great in our system. The system gets them more ready for the NBA than anywhere else. And we win. As far as over the last 3 years, you look at who's won more. Obviously, UConn's won back-to-back national championships, so they're up there. I mean, but we're up there with any other program in the country with the level of success we've had over the last 3 years. And yeah, it's tough to build a roster every year, but when you win at the level we're winning, when you develop guys for the NBA like we've done, I think we've got a lot of people that want to come to this program. So we'll get them in, show them what we got to offer. We'll have a good roster. We'll have a roster that's competing for a national championship and SEC championship next year and the years moving forward.
Take one final question. We'll go here in the middle.
Yeah, Nick Kelly, AL.com. Nate, same question as to Mark. Last game for him. How do you think he belongs to go down in Alabama history and basketball?
I mean, if you're evaluating players and winning and being the guy on winning teams, I mean, I don't know. There's obviously very good players have come out of Alabama. You look back through the history. I mean, you run through all the NBA players that have played for Alabama. There's a lot of talented guys. We've had Brandon Miller's second pick in the draft. I mean, you look at, I'm going to miss a bunch, but look at guys like Derek McKee, Robert Horry, Charles Sprewell, Mo Williams. I mean, all those guys. Now, before we got here, they had never made a Final Four. They'd only made one Elite Eight. And I'm not sure who was all on that Elite Eight roster, but that wasn't a team that was all that great in the regular season. So to have all those NBA guys really mainly just go to a Sweet 16 at the most. So Mark comes in. We're the #1 overall seed for the first time in school history. His first year with us, he's the second leading scorer behind Brandon, who's second pick and unbelievable NBA player right now in 2 years in the NBA. Next year, we go to the first Final Four in school history. He's our leading scorer. The following year, it's his third year with us. He's established himself. I'm not sure where he ended up in school history on the scoring list. Second. In 3 years, he's second on the school scoring list. That's pretty incredible. He's competing against a lot of guys that played 4 years. So to be second in the school scoring list, and then to go in as a 2 seed, I mean, we were the #1 overall seed, 4 seed that made a Final Four, and a 2 seed. We won a regular season and a tournament championship in the SEC his first year, make a Final Four, and then do what we did this year and make back-to-back Elite Eights for the first time in school history, and he's the leading scorer again. He's first-team All-American, second guy in school history to be a first-team All-American. Brandon, the only other one. You got to put him up there with the greats. And, who knows where his career is going to take him. He's going to get a chance playing the NBA. I think he's done a lot of the stuff the NBA told him he needed to get better at this year. He's become a much better decision maker. His rim reads, his leadership skills, his defensive efforts, much improved. He was more efficient last year. But when you come in as a preseason National Player of the Year, everybody's got their defense designed to stop you. So he had to play with a little bit different pressure, a little bit different defenses on him this year. I'm going to put him right up there. We've had some really good players here. We've had 8 guys that we've coached that have gone and played in the NBA. Got a lot of guys currently playing in the NBA. I hope he gets the chance. It's my hope that he makes it on a roster. But as far as what he's done in college, be hard to match what he's done in that regard in those 3 years he's been here.
Coach, we appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations on a great season.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you to all you guys that have covered us. Your coverage has been great from you guys at Alabama. The national coverage has been great, too. So I appreciate it. Thank you to all you guys.